Hey guys, welcome back to Prepping in Progress. I'm Steve.
And I'm Kim.
And today we're going to be talking about...
organizing your preps and keeping your preps organized.
I thought we were talking about fingers.
No, we're not going to talk about that just yet.
Oh, okay. We're not talking about that just
Cue
yet.
the intro. Okay, Steve brought up my fingers. And yes, we had a bit of an incident today. I was doing yard work and I haven't even cleaned up afterwards. I'm filthy. Working in the yard on my day off. And yeah, I got my hand caught in it was a motor for a leaf blower.
The exhaust fan for the leaf blower. Yeah.
Yeah. It took a nice chunk off the tips of my fingers. Luckily I didn't lose my fingers, which was a possibility.
Yeah. Luckily.
But it got us thinking because we had kind of a crisis moment. Now, I warn y'all, when I get hurt, I get cranky. Like, cranky. When you're in pain, you're not your best self. But before then, we say, while it's been hot, we have been organizing, or I have been organizing our basement. It was not necessarily a pantry, but our pantry's down here, which has been completely demolished at the moment and getting ready to be remodeled. And everything else is being reorganized and reshelved. And yeah, I've been working down here quite a bit. And
look guys, for preps, let's just be honest. If you want 3 to 5 years worth of food, 3 to 5 years worth of medical supplies, 3 to 5 years worth of water, whatever.
It's going to take up space.
It's going to take up space. Exactly.
Yeah.
And your pantry's going to grow and flourish and have to be rearranged and rebuilt and things moved out. We're at that stage.
Yeah, our old pantry was great. Y'all can see the old video of me talking about how we set up our pantry, and I loved it for what it is, but it is expanding and is getting more to it. And we're doing a complete clean out. We're getting rid of anything that may have gone bad that we didn't cycle through properly, or stuff that we may not necessarily want anymore. And so going through your pantry, going through your preps period, and seeing what you have, what's working, what you may have bought on a whim, and you don't really necessarily want anymore, and it's just taking up space. All these things are helping while we organize. And as you can see, I've started different shelves for different things. I have my hygiene shelf where I've got sanitizer to toothpaste to deodorant and soap. And then we have our medical shelf, which I've been working on building up with all of our medical supplies on it. And back there, working on our ammo cans for the guns that we lost in a terrible boating accident. We just have all the ammo left over. It's weird.
Strange.
And miscellaneous preps on the other shelf back there.
So, getting back to where we were.
Fingers.
I'm the team medic, okay? Retired EMT, graduated paramedic school, the whole 9 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
The brown shelf in the background, right over there.
Used to have medical stuff.
Yeah.
Now the medical stuff is here. And I did all the organizing because I like to organize. I like things having a place. I like having things where they need to go. All your medication, medications to gauze, everything's got its own place. The problem that we ran into was I did the organizing.
Without any input from me.
I was the one that was hurt.
Without any input from me.
And Steve was stuck trying to figure out just even where the Band-Aids were, let alone the gauze and the gauze tape and things like that. He didn't know, and of course...
She's a little cranky when she gets hurt.
I was more than a little cranky. I'd just taken quite a big chunks off of my fingers.
Guys, mark this day down. That's one of the few times you'll ever hear a woman admit that, so...
But anyways, Steve ran into the problem that most people do, because even though I think it is beautifully organized, which
It is.
It is beautifully organized.
And now that I have time to appreciate it, we're good.
What we're going to be working on today is actually labeling. Because even though you may love organizing and you may have the perfect system that works wonderfully, if nobody else knows where things are, nobody knows how to find things quickly, I'm sitting there bleeding with chunks taken out of my fingers. I can't really think straight. And I'm trying to remember which tub had the gauze tape in it, where were the band-aids, where was this, where was that. It's quite difficult. It would have been much easier if I would have simply said, oh, band-aids, they're in this drawer here, the gauze are in these, and the tape's down there, because they all have labels on them, and he could have quickly found what he needed, got a hold of it, and was able to take care of the medical problem quickly without upsetting me more than I already was. So we wanted to talk to you guys is because we do stockpile, because we do buy lots of bulk items. We just got a huge shipment of gauze rolls and a bunch of medical stuff that we are working on at the moment. We've been kind of focused on the beans, which is a good thing, but we wanted to move on to the band-aids and eventually to the bullets for the guns we don't have that are lost in a lake somewhere, I'm sure. But it's gone. I don't know where it went. But organizing your preps, because if you're dealing with a stockpile, if you're dealing with a large supply of items, it can quickly turn into looking like an episode of Hoarders, right? Oh, you found my tape?
Well, yeah. I figured you wanted to get started.
Yeah. So I wanted to show you, because we also have buckets here. This is not where they get going. We are getting ready to label these, put oxygen absorbers in them. They are beans and rice and oats and all kinds of different stuff getting ready to go to the cabin. Whoop. Getting ready to go to the cabin because it is a part of our long-term food storage plan of organizing. Is we don't keep the long-term stuff, at least not a lot of the long-term stuff here at the house. Do keep some.
We keep enough to
go
several months if we could not get out of here.
But our year supply that we're working on building goes to the bug-out location. That way we don't get cluttered where we live all the time at. And so that's another part of organizing, is definitely not having them all in one place.
Yeah, and that's something else. Here, I got 3 set up for you.
Okay.
We're part of a mag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have people that we work with. Now, if you're gonna say, yeah, I'll work with you, yeah, I'm gonna help you out, you gotta put some skin in the game. And
I did.
a couple weeks ago, or last week, I took a field box full of stuff over to one of my mag members' homes and left it with him in case, I mean, even if I can't get my family there, he has more resources because we put skin to skin together.
Exactly. Spreading out your preps, not getting overwhelmed, and like I said, you don't want it to completely claustrophobic, because I do. You can ask me. I hate clutter. I hate things just being all over the place, which I'm going crazy right now with it being so dysfunctional at the moment. But I wanted to make sure you are not just stockpiling, but making things that are easily accessible. I'm not going to count on that hand. That's easily accessible. That this little pinky got some, you know, hand. But, oh, you got me distracted. Stop it.
Things must be easily accessible.
Easily accessible. You want to make sure you know how to find it, but your partners also know how to find it. You know, if you know that the white lids are rice and the blue lids are beans, and you've got it perfectly worked out, but nobody else knows your system, now, that may be a good thing if you're the only one there and you're the only one dipping into it and it's your supply and forget everybody else. You don't want everybody knowing what you have. That's one thing, but we're in a situation where we're a large family, and if I'm the one that's incapacitated, but I did all the organizing. He didn't even know where matches were today to start a bonfire.
I wanted to use matches instead of a flint and steel for once. Sue me.
It's okay to use matches. It's okay. We have them. But he didn't know where they were because we've been rearranging everything. So I'm going to have to make sure I label where all of our fire starting stuff is, so he knows where to get to it. Emergency candles, flashlights, for even a short-term disaster like a power outage. If I'm at work and they're stuck here during a power outage, they need to know where all the things are that I've been so studiously organizing. So I hope that you guys are labeling things, putting them there in nice accessible areas, and making sure things are in a common sense place. You know, if I've got soap over here, it's most likely that I've also got other hygiene products like your shampoos and things like that. This isn't coffee on here, by the way. This is really cool. We get those little soaps from hotels when we go and stay. His mom travels like all the time, so we collect those. And if you're looking for a hygiene product, it makes sense to look on the shelf that has all the rest of the hygiene products. Same thing with his medical. He knew that it was the medical tape and things like that were somewhere on the shelf. Would have made it a lot easier if I had it labeled. But make sure it is in a common sense place. You can have it. If you've got emergency candles, maybe put the matches close by the emergency candles. That way things kind of make sense on where they're at. And even if they're not labeled, they are in a sensible location. Yeah.
So while you get started on that, I want to throw a couple of tidbits at the audience.
Okay, go ahead.
So I want to share something with you. A friend of ours works at a clothing factory, and
Hooked us up.
the silica gel comes in these metal containers. Now, when put with your Mylar bags, and that's what I want to talk about in a second, it has this great latching lid, and then this pops open, the ring loosens. I'm having trouble because I'm holding it and doing this. But you end up with a metal bucket with a rubber seal. So if you find someone who happens to work at, a clothing packing shipping plant and they use the silica gel, I'm really pleased with these metal buckets that we picked up.
They're stackable and great for organizing your long-term preps.
Organizing. So
definitely, guys, you want to make sure that you got to be really careful about stacking buckets when you are organizing. We have them stacked up right now just because we're getting ready to take them over the road. Any kind of the buckets that you're organizing, make sure you've got them in a sensible place. Make sure it's cool, not dating up or anything like that. But also make sure, try not to stack them on top of each other. The lids can crack, and that's going to cause a problem with getting any kind of critters in there, especially if you're not using the Mylar, if you're using the Gamma lids. If it cracks that, air gets in, and it's going to start breaking down quite quickly. So try putting either a wooden board, something in between them to relieve some of the weight and kind of distribute that out. That way when you stack them up to the rafters, I hope, they're a lot more organized, whether you're using these kind of metal buckets or these.
And this brings up something else I wanted to talk about. One of our commenters threw out the question, why don't we oven can, our beans and whatnot? And in the comments, I kind of tried to answer it, but I wanted to throw this at you. In theory, you need about 3,200 calories per day, per person, for an active person from age 16 to about 35, which comes out to, I believe, 1.6 million per year. And And if you break down your wheat, your corns, your beans, etc., down into protein chains, it's going to come out to about 750 pounds of food per person per year. Okay? And the person who asked why we don't jar can this stuff, 750 pounds of food takes up an awful lot of jars, whereas mylaring, putting in these buckets, and then stacking them, for us, is a more efficient use of our space. So I hope that answers your question, and keep them coming, keep the comments coming. You know, I love the dialogue. So I'm done.
I'm done, other than we've got to finish labeling everything so we can find it if I'm down and out.
Again. Hey, at least I knew exactly where my kit in my car was. Ran out there, grabbed
yeah,
that.
he grabbed the kit. He had the kit ready to go, but I was like, just use the stuff. I was cranky.
And I just told her to shut up and let me work. So, alright guys, thanks for watching Prepping in Progress. We're so glad you're here. We're almost,
And tell us what y'all do, if y'all do anything special to help organize your own preps, what helps you kind of keep things together. And
I'm just looking at your labeling.
can you read it?
You really need to work on your penmanship.
I know, it's terrible. But anyways, guys, like I was saying, tell us down in the comment section below, what do you do that really helps you keep your preps organized? Because it is a lot of stuff. At least I hope you have a lot of stuff you're starting to build up your stockpile, get things going. And so how are you managing to keep things organized? Do you have a special room? Do you have a closet? What are you doing to help stay organized with your preps? Alright guys, we're going to sign off here because we got a lot of work to do. So
take care, y'all.